I'm Shannon.
And I'm Holly, and this is a Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and relax, because your show is loading. Today's episode includes the following trigger warnings. Mentioning topics of sexual assault of a child, grooming of a child, coercion, kidnapping, and murder. This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We do apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's case. Today is the second case in this week's topic of vigilantes. So, let's get into it.
There are a few questions I want you to think about, and I will ask them again at the end of this case. What would you do for your child? Would you kill for your child? Is it acceptable to step outside of the law? Why or why not? Today's case, Gary Plauche. Leon Gary Plauche was born on November 10, 1945 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to parents Charles and Annabelle Plauche. Gary has one sibling, Jeffrey. Throughout his school days, his parents would say that Gary was a really good kid, a good athlete, but he just wasn't a good student. His teachers in elementary were noted as stating that they would give him an A if he would just behave. He got a C in those classes. In high school, Gary was known for his athleticism, kindness, and charm. He loved to fish and be outdoors. He was an all-star sprinter in track. He actually held the school record and state record for fastest time for the 50-yard dash. He was also known for pranks in high school. If he knew that the school board was going to be walking through the school on a particular day, he would decide to fill a condom up with water and leave it in the fountain.
Hey, at least it was water.
Right. True. I think that's very respectful. Gary, regardless of his ways with school and pranks, was spoken highly of. He was kind, generous, helpful to everyone, funny, and everyone just loved him. He would graduate from Estroma Senior High School and would continue his education at Louisiana State University. There he would join the Kappa Alpha fraternity. Gary would serve as a sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, and after his time in the military, he would become a heavy equipment salesman. June Ann Sheridan was born in 1948 to parents Joseph and Frances Sheridan. June had 5 siblings: Honey, Dinah, Robert, Michael, and Patty. Unfortunately, not much more was able to be found on June's childhood. Gary would meet June at a nightclub where she sang at, and they would begin a whirlwind relationship. After 1 month of dating, they would get married on December 25th, 1969. Gary and June would have 4 children. Gary Jr., nicknamed Bubba, was born in October of 1970. Joseph Boyce, nicknamed Jody, was born on April 27, 1972. Jeffrey Michael, nicknamed Mikey, was born in July of 1975. Jennifer, nicknamed Sissy, the last kiddo, was born in March of 1977. Throughout this time of Gary and June building a family together, there were some problems, and Gary seemed to find the answers in a bottle of alcohol. The drinking would get to be too much for June, and in the summer of 1983, she asked him to leave. Even though they weren't living together, Gary would show up for his family most times. If he wasn't able to pick up his kids for one reason or another, he would ask his parents to pick them up. This would infuriate the kids sometimes because it seemed like their dad was too busy with his extracurriculars to be there to pick them up. All of this isn't to say that Gary was a great guy or that he was a bad guy, just stating what the facts were at the time. In comes Jeff Doucette. Doucette was born February 3rd, 1959 to parents Haywood and Elia Doucette. He had 5 siblings. His dad passed away when he was a teenager. By all accounts, Doucette and his siblings had a very hard childhood. Doucette had been sexually assaulted by several of his mother's boyfriends. Some of his siblings were sold for sex by their mother also. Doucette would be arrested when he was 17 for sexual assault of a minor, but the arrest was thrown out because his mother was a friend of the officer. This in no way, shape, or form gives him an excuse to bring any harm to other children, but I just wanted to give some information on his childhood as a whole picture kind of thing. Doucette learned that being deceitful and charming could get him anything. He would, while living in Baton Rouge, come up with a scheme to get close to children and gain the trust of so many families. In 1982, a flyer for karate class would circulate throughout the schools. With enough interest, the class would continue. The karate instructor had taken the money the families had paid for the class and disappeared shortly after they began. This is where Doucette found his opportunity. He became the next karate instructor. He would work with the kids endlessly. Sometimes the class or training would last longer than normal. Doucette would become friends with families because of all the time he was spending with them. He was spending so much time with their kids, and the kids seemed to have a great time, that the parents would see this and begin to trust him. Doucette would take the students out for drives and let them drive his vehicle. He would take them to do fun things like go out for pizza, movies, basketball games, and amusement parks. He, in turn, would get invited to family dinners and barbecues. He really was good at gaining families' trust through manipulation. One of the families that Doucette became very close with was the Plauches. He thought Jody had real potential at being a fighter. Jody wasn't really into karate in the beginning. Jody was more of a basketball, baseball, and football kind of kid. He was very outgoing and athletic. Jody loved hanging out with his friends and family. He had joined karate because his mom and her best friend decided to sign up the boys so they could all go together. They thought it might be good for them to try it out. The boys would continue going to karate class, and now that Doucette had gained some trust with the Plauches, he probably felt it would be the time to begin grooming the family and Jody. So in this instance, and many instances, grooming is not just the child. The family is also involved, and this kind of goes with everything that he did as far as taking the kids to do fun things, showing up at places where the kids were, kind of random things like that.
Pretty much anything to gain the trust of
Yeah.
the family and the victims.
Yep. Doucette would push the limits to make it seem okay by accidentally touching the groin area while stretching during karate class, or when he would have kids sit on his lap while they were driving. He would apologize and say it was an accident, but it would happen again. Side note, I will not be going into many details of Jody's story. If you'd like to hear the entire story, especially in Jody's words, please get his book, Why, Gary, Why? The abuse would continue for over a year, and it would become more aggressive over that time. Doucette would manipulate through fear, friendship, and tears to keep the abuse quiet. Fear by inflicting pain of hitting kids on the head or pushing down hard on pressure points. Friendship by offering cool experiences. Tears he shed to make the kids feel sorry for him. This is a form of coercion. Doucette had gained the family's trust, and he had to put a plan in motion to leave town. Now, why would he do that? It wasn't for the sexual abuse he was committing, but for a string of bad checks and unfulfilled business deals he had. Doucette would begin telling Jody that he thought he would be leaving for California soon, and he would be taking Jody with him. With a court date coming up and no way to pay back the money he owed, Doucette went to the Plauche's home and asked if Jody could help him with some housework at his brother's home. He also asked if he could borrow June's car. Not thinking twice about it, because she trusted him, as most parents would, the answer was yes. Doucette had not spoken to his brother. There was no housework to do. He was running and kidnapping Jody as well. Doucette would manage to get enough money by conning family to get a couple bus tickets to California. During the trip, he told everyone that Jody was his son and they were on a fun trip heading west. During the entirety of the kidnapping, Doucette would shave his facial hair off and dye Jody's blonde hair black. Jody would get to see the filming of a popular TV show and go to Disneyland during the day, and be terrorized at night. For whatever reason, one day, Doucette decided it was okay for Jody to call his mom Colette, and that's where the rescue would begin. Side note, at one point you could call the operator on a landline or a payphone and request to make a collect call. This would mean that the operator would call the number you requested and ask the recipient if they would accept the charges from the individual. The recipient would either say yes or no. The charges would then appear on the next month's phone bill. Jody called his mom Colette, and she said she would accept the charges. She would request a time with the amount and charges once the phone call was done from the operator. This is how June would find out where Jody was calling from. The operator gave the information of how long the call was, how much the call was, the address, and the room number. June would call Gary and Officer Barnett at the local police department in Baton Rouge to let them know that she had heard from Jody. Additional phone calls would be made from Doucette to June, and for one of the calls, in particular, the police would be listening. The local police department in Anaheim would go to the hotel where Doucette was keeping Jody. The police would knock on the door, and once the door was open, there were several officers outside the door. Doucette would be arrested, and Jody would be taken to the police station. The police would ask him many questions, and Jody would deny everything they asked regarding Doucette touching him. So much was going on at that moment. So many emotions and thoughts crossed through his mind. It is a lot for anyone to grasp, let alone a child. He didn't want Doucette to get into trouble by his words. He knew that if he went to the hospital, there would be signs and the police would get the answers from the exam, not from Jody. This way, it wouldn't be Jody saying anything, and he couldn't get in trouble with Doucette. Jody would be taken to the hospital for an examination, and the truth was evident in the findings. Jody had been assaulted numerous times. After the medical staff was complete with everything they needed to do, Jody was taken to a youth home. Jody's mom was called during this process, and with relief, Jody would be heading back home soon. June would call Gary and explain everything. Gary would ask if Doucette touched Jody. He explained to June that he would kill the son of a bitch if he did. Gary actually made it very well known to several people he would kill that son of a bitch for touching his son. While Jody was in the process of flying home, Gary would continue to let pretty much anyone that would listen that he was going to kill Doucette as soon as he had the chance. The police weren't going to tell Gary anything regarding the day or time they would be returning with him. Officer Barnett also asked June not to say anything. Gary, by being persistent, would find out that Doucette had assaulted Jody. To Gary, there was no option. Doucette was going to die. Gary was asking everyone if they knew what day and when Doucette would be arriving. No one was giving him information. He was getting extremely frustrated. He would spend a few days hanging out at a local bar, the Cotton Club. Here, a friend and former colleague would give Gary the information on the flight. Flight number, American Airlines 595. Date, Friday, March 16th. End time, around 9:30 p.m. That was all he needed. On March 16th, 1984, Gary drove to the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Before entering, Gary put on a disguise of a hat and sunglasses. He went to the gate area where Doucette's flight would be unloading. He found a payphone and made a call, and then waited. The officers had told one another and Doucette to be on the lookout for Gary and any other parents of the children from the karate class. Doucette was still handcuffed and was being escorted by the police through the corridor. No one seemed to be in the area, or if there were people, no one was recognizable. As they walked past a man standing at the payphone, the man turned and fired one shot into Doucette's skull. Gary had succeeded. The police, including Officer Barnett, ran to get the gun from Gary and subdue him. Officer Barnett stated, "Why, Gary, why? Why'd you do it?" Gary simply explained that they would do the same thing if it happened to their kid. Side note, if you'd like to see the video, just Google it. Why Gary Why or Jeff Doucette shot at airport. There will be hundreds of results from news sources, podcasts, and YouTube. We will not be reposting it on any of our channels, but if you're interested, it is definitely out there. Gary was arrested and taken to jail. In jail, Gary made friends with inmates and guards. Gary was that guy. Everybody loved him. Everyone knew what Gary had done to land himself in jail. So when inmates had come in because they had sexually assaulted a child, no one said anything. There was concern that Gary might try to do something to that inmate. It wasn't until after the inmate left that he would be told. The following Monday, Gary would be released on a $100,000 bail. Gary would go stay with a friend for a while, and his family did come to see him. During the time frame of the trial, Gary would get a psych eval done and work on getting sober. Once he was sober, he moved back home with his family. There was a bit of normalcy for the Plauche family in that they would continue to do things like fishing, swimming, and hanging out together. Gary's attorney believed that he would not have to spend another day in jail. The reasoning behind his thought is that once anyone heard the lengths that Doucette went to groom Jody, no one would blame Gary for what he did. The attorney would also issue a statement for the defense that Gary was in a psychotic state due to his son being kidnapped. Several townspeople also believed that what Gary did, he couldn't be blamed for killing Doucette. To so many, he was a hero. Murray Curry, a local riverboat captain, had stated, "He's a father who done it out of love for his child and for his pride." Many people donated money to the Plauches for legal fees and to help with household finances. Because of so many people believing that Gary was a hero, it may have definitely had some impact on his sentencing decision. November 1985, Gary would receive his sentence of 7 years in prison for manslaughter. However, it was suspended to 5 years probation and 300 hours of community service. Over the years, he would pay his dues and continue trying to build back his family. Gary would pass away on October 21st, 2014. What about Jody? Jody would graduate from the Kenilworth Middle School to the Woodlawn High School. He would get back into the sports he loved to play, including football, baseball, and basketball. Senior year, Jody decided to run track also, and he lettered in all 4 sports. Jody, during his high school career, earned several awards: All-State 2 times, All-District Quarterback 2 times, Offensive MVP District in football, Top 5 candidate for Athlete of the Year, WBRZ's Channel 2's Player of the Week. Jody would graduate in 1990 and go on to study at Northlake College for 2 years. He would continue his education through LSU and graduate in 1997 with 3 minors: Psych, Philosophy, Speech Communication. Jody would go on to win the award for Survivor Activist of the Year in 2004, and of course, the book, Why Gary Why, was published in 2019. This book, I have to tell you, is one of those that stay with you. I could not stop listening to it. Honestly, I've listened to it 3 times so far. You can purchase a physical copy if you'd prefer. It's definitely worth the read and the listen. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and there is some dark humor throughout, which if you are not one for dark humor, I don't know if this would be the book, but it is a very good book.
But to to be fair, in the beginning, this isn't a light-hearted book. It's about a traumatic past.
Yes.
So I think anyone who listens or reads it has to have a little bit of dark humor in them.
Yes.
To be able to listen or read to it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how everyone is. I know both me and you have dark humor.
Yes. And I will say that there were a couple instances, I'm not going to say what he says, but there were a couple instances, and even some of the interviews that he does, like on the Unsubscribed podcast, there is some jokes made, and at first it like catches you off guard, and then it's like, oh, okay, ha ha ha. But it's definitely, it took me by surprise. 3 quotes from the book, though, I did want to share are, "Don't let one moment define you. A bad year doesn't mean a bad life." And this one I thought was very specific to his story. Not just his story, but everyone's story. But his story Well, no. I think that this one was very specific to his story because the flyers went out in 82 and the grooming started almost immediately once Doucette took over the karate instruction and lasted until March of 84. So that's a little over a year. But And the last quote is, "You have this one life to live, and even when a tragedy strikes, you can't let that one thing define you. You cannot allow it to control you and bring the rest of your life down."
That is very well said.
Yes. Okay, some mentionings and important information. So, some possible signs to look out for if your child has been sexually assaulted. There could be visible physical injuries like cuts, bruises, or broken bones. Children may be more anxious than usual, act out, lose interest in activities they once loved, be quieter than normal, inappropriate play, and wetting the bed, to name a few.
And this is not to say that every possible sign is this, and it's not saying that every possible sign is only this.
Right.
Every child and every person reacts to abuse differently.
Exactly. These are just
Possibilities
of something more happening.
Yeah.
Some signs are not going to be apparent right away. Most predators put a lengthy amount of time into grooming the child. The predator uses fear to scare the child into not saying anything because they might not want to get into trouble, or they feel bad and don't want the predator to get into trouble. There is a lot of control and manipulation that these sick fucks use. Other signs to look out for include if an adult is wanting to hang out more with your child than other adults. Is the adult paying special attention to one particular child more than the others? How does your child react around this person? Is the child scared to be around this person? Is the child afraid to tell secrets? And is the child all of a sudden more clingy to you around certain people? So those are some signs to pay attention to. They don't all mean, except for the last signs I talked about. If your child is acting different around a certain individual, if they're scared, those ones you definitely need to talk to your child because there's a reason why that is happening. The next section is just some statistics that I found. 90% of children molested, the predators are family.
And I personally believe that is because family is usually always trusted. It's easier to manipulate family than it is strangers, which is very sad and horrible.
Agree. Some children won't tell anyone until they are adults, but most do not say anything for 5 years.
Some children that grow up don't even say it at all.
Yes.
Or I feel like if they do try to say something, they end up taking it back because of how
the reaction they get. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced sexual violence at some point in their life. Just think about that for one moment. Think of 4 people you know. At least one person has been a victim to a predator in their lifetime. Most predators are male, but those numbers might not be accurate because some do not report it when it is a female predator. It could be because they don't think anyone will believe them, or because of the power the predator holds over the individual. There is also a stigma that males cannot be sexually assaulted by women, which is complete bullshit. The way your body reacts is just that, a reaction. It does not in any way give consent. Now for a fun one. Alabama passed a law that offers the death penalty to anyone that sexually assaults a child under the age of 12.
Next for a fun one.
All 50 states now have a sex offender registry as of 2023. Why in the hell did it take until 2023 for every single state to have a sex offender registry?
What the fuck?
I do not understand the thought process behind
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you did a case that was in Oregon, I believe, that he was previously living in a different state than he was a sex offender there,
Yep.
moved to Oregon, and he didn't have to register there.
Yeah.
And
I
got
believe-
away with assaulting more people.
Yeah. I believe it was Jeannie Landers.
Yeah,
case.
that's so. I don't understand it.
Go ahead.
The U.S. the only one that has a sex offender registry, or is
That I did not look up to see. That's interesting.
so the United States has a obviously sex offender registry, but it's the only one that allows public access.
What?
I mean, this is the first thing that popped up, so.
What the fuck?
Other countries with sex offender registries generally accessible only by law enforcement. This includes Argentina, Australia, Canada, France, Germany, India, Republic of Ireland, Jamaica, Kenya, Maldives, Malta, New Zealand, Nigeria, Portland, South Africa, South Korea, Spain, Taiwan, Trinidad and Tobago, and the United Kingdom.
Wow, that is. I mean, at least they have a registry.
But the fact that it's only for law enforcement.
Yeah, that is scary to think.
That's crazy.
And just think about this. So you said all those other countries have a sex offender registry that is just for law enforcement. In the United States, 20,000 sex offenders are non-compliant. So what does that mean for all the offenders in like other countries? Like if you think about the whole, like as a whole.
That's just fucking.
That's fucking crazy.
It's like unbelievable. And sometimes like I'm like, what would it be to live outside the US? But then again, sometimes I'm like, what would it be like to live outside the US?
Right.
Because not like all these other countries don't have the type of laws that we have necessarily.
Yeah. Some are more enthusiastic than what we have.
And some are less.
Lacking. Yeah.
Like what is it, Sweden? Where a rape, it's not considered a rape unless it's gone on longer than like 2 minutes or something.
That infuriates me to no end. Like, what the ever-loving...
Yeah, I'm trying... It doesn't say a certain place.
I remember you saying that, though.
I think it's either Switzerland or Sweden. I think my fiance is the one that said it and told me about it.
In Malta, if you kidnap someone and marry them, you don't need to go to jail.
What the fuck?
Yeah. That's not... I can't find anything on that. Like, so I don't know if it was someone just saying... Not, but someone just saying something. I'm looking at bizarre laws from around the world.
Well, I see... When I first look it up, it says, in some countries... rape is not considered rape until a certain amount of time has passed. For example, in certain jurisdictions, even if a sexual act occurs, it may not be classified as rape if it happens with a specific time frame after the act. This can lead to challenges in proving consent and the legal implications of such acts. For instance, in some cases, if the act is not reported within a certain period, it may not be recognized as rape under the law.
And in some countries, I saw that if you are married, it is not considered rape.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's definitely something we could always get into, too, is the different types of laws in different countries versus the U.S. or wherever.
Yeah. In Singapore and India, as long as you are married, it is not a criminal offense to, you don't have to have consensual sex. You can rape your wife and you will not be charged unless it is a child under the age of 15.
What the fuck? And that's probably also where they have arranged marriages to like 13 fucking year old.
That actually is. And actually, in one of the pictures, it says Singapore 13. And the very next picture next to it is a dude with a goat. So I don't know if that's...
Wow.
Or if they were, you know, how they like trade livestock for children.
Fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now that we took a huge left turn, let's get back into it.
We will definitely dive more into those
at some point.
Concerns, laws in another episode further down the line. So another mentioning that I wanted to bring up is when I was in college, I did a paper on harsher punishments for pedophiles. This is something I strongly believe in. We had to present in front of like 12 people, so a very big class.
Was this back in the other state?
This was when we moved here. And I was still going to school.
Was that
brick
online?
And mortar? No, brick and mortar. Like actually going on campus. Yeah. The paper did what I wanted it to do. It got people talking. People talking about why it seems like the punishment is just a slap on the hand. There were other questions asked, like, what if it's a Romeo and Juliet situation? What if it's a parent trying to get at the other parent? What if it's a lie? What if? There is always going to be a what if. But let me ask, what if there were harsher punishments for pedophiles, and those punishments prevented that pedophile from attacking another childhood? With that paper, research showed that 51% of released predators will reoffend and be rearrested within 3 years.
That's over half of them.
Yeah. So, what if? And that was a very, like, my paper, I was first to go that morning, and the entire class took up, like, the entire class time of, like, 45 minutes or an hour. I can't remember how long it was, but we talked about it the whole class, which it should be talked about.
Yeah.
There's definitely not, I don't think, state by state, nationwide, I don't think there is a state that has a harsh enough punishment for pedophiles.
No.
Except for maybe Alabama.
Yeah, but that's still...
But that's still, like, the kids are 12.
Yeah, 12 and under.
Yeah. What about the kids that are from 12 to 18?
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely gotta be... We both feel like there needs to be more.
Yeah.
More action. And like you said, if there was a harsher punishment, would that prevent those pieces of shit from doing what they want to do?
Right. Because they get out and they're just gonna
reoffend.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, well, I only got 3 years or I only got 7 years, so.
And I know what to do now to get away with it.
Right.
Don't do this and don't do that. And then also, I just know in some scenarios, when a pedophile is released, they go back into where their family lives and where there is kids. Personally, I would never let that type of person ever be near my kids again. I don't give a fuck. Go live in it. There's homeless shelters out there and you can figure it out.
Yep.
If you got time to assault kids, you got time to make your own money and go out there and do the
or
right
go
shit.
Into a wood chipper. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you can do that too. I'm just saying, like, it just pisses me off.
Yeah, agreed. Or some families say, well, don't go around that individual, but he or she is still going to be allowed at family functions. I don't think so. I don't care. I do not care.
Well, it looks like I'm not going to that family function anymore.
And my kids aren't going, and all I'm going to say is that's why
Yeah.
That's why I don't have a lot to do with a whole lot of family because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have questions written down, but I do, like, I just have thoughts more of, and might say this later, but like
Mhm.
just because the piece of shit was assaulted when he was younger doesn't mean he gets to assault kids when he's older.
Exactly.
Just because you were assaulted,
Mhm.
you know what that feels like,
Mhm.
and you know it's not good. So why the fuck would you commit it to another child?
Yeah. Infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
That is the excuse that they use.
I just feel like it either goes one or two ways. You either are assaulted and you become headstrong about everything, like we
Mhm.
are, about
Mhm.
pedophiles and all
Mhm.
that, or you become what that piece of shit was.
Yeah. An offender.
Yeah.
A predator. Piece of shit.
Yeah. Fucking disgusting.
Mhm.
And then I just wanted to say there's a lot of similarities between my case last week and your
Mhm.
case now.
As usual.
Yeah. Just like the other case, they became part of a community, was a part of a group that helped children.
Mhm.
Then they would become friends with the family, so then they can go after the victims.
Mhm.
And all the people before the victims won't question anything.
Right.
It's the same pattern over and
Mhm.
over again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really change.
Mm-mm.
That was kind of my question. No, not even questions. It was more
Yeah.
of just thoughts of these cases are very similar, and I
Right.
mean, it has the same
Yep. Absolutely.
type of piece of shit in it. I mean, I have a completely side note
Mhm.
on everything, but like, I'm always curious, like, how does bail money work? Because I can't, you don't just have. I know these people
No,
don't
you
have
don't just
kind
have
of
the
like
money.
the 100,000 lying around to bail themselves
Yeah.
out.
Not always, anyways. Not, but this particular family.
Unless you're a fucking millionaire family.
Right. So basically, if you can't afford bail, like
Mm-hmm.
Gary couldn't afford $100,000, so they would go to a bail bondsman. The bail bondsman would put up the money for a certain percentage down, and then they have to pay them back. Now, since Gary wasn't found guilty, my understanding is that he does not have to pay that money, like the rest of the money.
So if you are found guilty, then you have to pay it back.
I believe so, yes.
But like, if you're in prison, how the fuck do you pay that back? Do they go to family members to pay it, or do they work out a deal in something in prison?
I'm not sure how that actually works. Well, so if you go to a bail bondsman, usually there's like some sort of collateral.
Mm-hmm.
So you have someone go with you to, like, I'm going to put my house up for collateral
Yeah.
that I will pay this back,
Pretty,
or the
pretty
family
much
will
like
pay this
a
back.
regular
Yeah.
loan.
Yeah, we'll pay this back, or you get the house, which that would suck, but that's my understanding, yeah.
But like, what if you have no family and you have nothing? You stay in jail?
I guess, yeah.
I don't. It's
Yeah.
very curious about how all that works, because I never really. I know you have law in your background, but I just. All I know is from listening to true crime podcasts.
Yeah. And a judge can deny bail. Like, your attorney could ask for bail, and the judge will say no, and you'll have to go back to prison. So there's that.
I knew that part.
Oh, okay.
Because I know in like some extreme cases, the judge will deny bail.
Yeah.
If they really know that they're a danger to society.
So it does say that the judge does have the power to reduce bail if the individual genuinely cannot afford to pay. So the defense attorney would have to file the motion asking the court to reduce it. It would have to present, like, the attorney would have to say, like, the defendant can't pay the bail because they don't have a house, they don't have a job, like, they're homeless, all those types of things. Or they pay, this is what their bills are, just to survive. They can't, those types of things.
They can only afford this
Yeah.
X amount.
Yeah.
But doesn't some judges do a big amount of bail to almost ensure they can't get out? Or is that not?
Sometimes I wonder if that's the case.
Yeah, because I kind of wonder sometimes if that's...
Yeah, because the numbers are just... I mean, there's factors that go into it, but...
Some numbers are just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And if you are found innocent, you do get your money back.
Okay.
So, or like if you're on a payment plan, you still get whatever payments you've made back. So... Okay. Not like the full amount, but you would get like if you paid $50,000 on $100,000, you would get $50,000 back.
So do you get like a certain amount of time before you have to start paying on that, or is that automatically as soon as they pay the bond, you have to start paying them?
I believe it's as soon as
they pay it.
Yeah. However, if you are going through a bail bondsman, the initial fee that you pay them, that is not refundable. So that's something to if
that's probably just to confirm.
Yeah. And the only way, that is the other thing too, if you were to post bail, one of the other requirements of getting a full refund is not only, obviously being proven innocent, but also you have to appear at every court date. You can't skip anything or anything like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we'll, like we said earlier, we'll probably get more into that type of stuff, like the law and how everything works at some point.
Yeah, I'm excited for everything. Dust off some
old
knowledge.
I can help by looking up what you don't know.
I appreciate that.
Well, I'm sure some laws might have
some
changed.
Laws have
too.
changed, yeah, definitely.
So.
Definitely, especially
it's been a
in
minute
the avenue
since
I was in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think I could do anything in law.
I have to say it's like a love-hate type thing because helping people, but hating the
bad, pretty much.
Yeah. Like in this instance where Jody suffered for over a year. I mean, Jody was terrorized for over a year. But he chose the good in life itself, is that he's not going to let that year of shit
determine how he spends his life.
Yeah.
But then it's like at the same time, there's a bunch of pieces of shit that get away with so much.
Yeah.
And I wear my heart on my sleeve. I feel like I would get too emotional.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to process everything in a healthy way.
I think that's why I chose
a different avenue.
And that is for sure why I didn't choose to follow my dreams as a young teenager of being a judge, because of instances where I was like, I'll push the button. So I don't
and a judge is supposed to have no sort of feelings.
Cannot lean one way or the other. And that would be hard for me, especially when children are involved.
Even though I know judges out there sometimes lean.
Absolutely. They use their emotion too. Absolutely.
Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's for the bad.
Yeah.
Or if a judge is getting an X amount of money and that X amount of money takes over his bias and he or she ends up doing a shitty thing.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that we can talk about, and that's
so
corruption and all kinds of...
Yeah. So many different things. Well, it's just like the one fucking case with that piece of shit that lived in Virginia, I think, and that was a police officer when he wasn't, maybe not Virginia. he wasn't supposed to have a gun,
Oh,
but he was
yes.
allowed.
Yes. He ended up going to California and kidnapping the girl, killed her grandparents.
Winnick?
I think so, yeah.
Winnick, I
Mhm.
think. That's the family that he...
I think so, yeah. Where he was yeah, I think it was Virginia, or West Virginia, actually, or one of those, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Virginia, but I'm not. I wasn't saying that for sure, but it was where he was texting her and eventually left Virginia to go to California and kidnap her.
Edwards was the
POS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's corrupt right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things we could get into.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I want to get into them, but at the same time,
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, knowing that people that are corrupt are out there and that are law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing necessarily stopping them because there's not enough rules or laws brushed under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
They have money.
Yeah. We took a long ass side note, but
something shiny.
Yeah.
Detour.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I mentioned some questions that I asked in the beginning. I was going to ask them again at the end. So the questions I asked what would you do for your child? Would you kill for your child? Is it acceptable to step outside the law? And why or why not? So I would do anything for my child. It doesn't even have to be my child. If any child came to me and was like, this person is doing things to me, that's it. Like, we're going to the police, we're going to
do whatever we can to...
Yeah. The next question is, would you kill for your child? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have been assaulted in my childhood, and the piece of shit that did what he did
never had to see justice.
I didn't get justice in the sense of the law.
Mm-hmm.
He was put through a couple of walls, my understanding.
But a couple of walls doesn't amount to what that
wood chipper?
Maybe. Maybe. Depends on how much she screams. Okay, we're getting a little... Fuck.
It's okay because nothing has happened, but I would, and I guess, is it acceptable to step outside the law? It depends. I mean, I've already agreed,
Yeah.
It depends on obviously there are psychotic states, there are crimes of passion, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I don't want to admit to anything that's a problem because I have pulled a bitch out of a car before.
I believe there is reasons why it is acceptable and reasons why it is not.
Yeah. I could say that if like the person was planning, well, then you have premeditation and you're not going to win. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not sorry.
And the next thing is he getting... It's not just a he. Is that person getting any sort of arrest, or is law enforcement doing anything? I also believe that is
right.
a
That
factor.
definitely has a factor. And when you take in all the facts of everything happening, like the cases that we did, yes, there was... Well, in your case, no, there wasn't any justice done. In my case, the father took justice into his own hands because justice was being done. He was arrested. He was being brought back for trial. But in your case, justice wasn't done, and
No.
he continued to.
He had a 45-year reign of
Mhm.
raping boys.
Yeah. So, like I said, in your case, there was not justice in the
Yeah.
form of going to jail. In
Mhm.
mine, there probably would have been, but
Yes.
I understand why he did what he did.
Well, also the facts of the type of punishments there are for those type of people.
Yeah.
Would he have just gotten 5 years for kidnapping and assault?
The craziest thing is that he probably would have gotten more time for kidnapping because I believe since it was across state line, that's federal, so he would have got more time for kidnapping than he would have for assaulting, which
What the fuck?
make one more or the other as long as he was never getting out of prison.
Yeah.
That would be my answer, is like make it to where he can't get out of prison.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
But still, the fact that assaults usually only a couple years.
Yeah. And we kind of touched base on this a little bit earlier, but yes, I am sad for Doucette as a child. He went through hell, and he had nobody to turn to. His mother was allowing this to happen. She actually walked in on it happening, and she didn't do a damn thing about it.
And then she was accepting money.
Yeah.
To allow
for her other children to be assaulted.
Yeah.
If I would have walked in, that guy would not be breathing.
No.
Absolutely not. But
first of all, that type of person wouldn't be in your home.
Right. He wouldn't even be in. Right.
At least you would hope not.
I would hope not, yeah. But that being said, I want to make this crystal clear. The crimes that were committed against him when he was younger, although heinous and he deserved to get justice, does not in any way, shape, or form give him the right to hurt any child.
Yeah.
The excuse of it was done to me, so I will do it is bullshit. And then I just send him into the wood chipper feet first, because that seems to be what I'm saying. A lot.
Dick first. Don't know how that would work, but it would
I
work.
don't either.
Yeah, that is just... I don't understand how someone could go through such a traumatic and horrible thing and then go and do it to someone else.
Yeah. I am not going to talk about their stories, but because they're their stories to tell if they ever want them to be told. But we know people that have had horrendous childhoods, and they don't act on those experiences in
if anything,
that sense.
It made them better. They made them want to protect kids and everyone more.
Yeah.
To try and make sure that something that happened to them doesn't happen to anyone else they know.
Exactly. I don't have any more questions or thoughts. Do you?
No, I think I'm out of those, except for like my head is going like 10 miles an hour right now.
Same.
And it's all about stuff that we can talk about in a later episode.
Right. More ideas coming.
Yeah.
We wanted to give some numbers to get information on resources if you or someone you know needs additional help, or to provide a starting point. They were given in the last episode and in other episodes as well. So RAINN, RAINN, is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. The number for them is 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4673. Here you can find support for resources 24/7. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is 1-800-843-5678. And you can always call your local police department as well.
Our hearts go out to the victims in this case and all individuals affected. With that is all we have for today. Thank you for listening. If you like our podcast, please hit that follow or subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Girls Gone Curious Podcast. Until next time.